I'm Gemma, and this is a chat with Gemma. Yes, I'm doing a video again. I know it's been a while, and part of the reason is that I haven't had a lot of views, but also, as I've said, my father died in February, so um, yeah, maybe I've had like a bit of a lack of enthusiasm about certain things. I mean, I'm doing quite well. I'm not sort of, I suppose I'm going through grieving to some level, moments of time here or there, but basically life's pretty normal. But I do notice kind of a lack of enthusiasm. And I used to be like that when I was a child quite often, and I just think, oh, I can't be bothered doing that. Oh, I don't think I can do that. And I used to wonder why, because then on another day, I'd have plenty of energy and be quite enthusiastic about whatever that thing was. So I don't know, somebody with knowledge regarding the psyche might want to say something in the comments. It's probably, I don't know, is it, I don't want to make a drama out of it, but maybe it's a degree of low mood or even depression, perhaps we could say. But yeah, so I do notice a bit of a lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm, and thinking about my own demise, because you watch your parents go through, so you watch your grandparents go through the death process, and then you watch your parents go through it, and then you know that soon you'll be watching yourself go through it. And a lot of people kind of around my age, very, very close to my age, have been dying. Yes, it still happens, even in modern times with marvellous modern medicine. So, yeah, I guess that has been sort of playing on my mind a bit. But what I wanted to talk about today was, what am I feeling? So this is really for all ages, all my videos really, for anybody and for all ages. But I know, just speaking for young people perhaps less than older people, can maybe be feeling some strong things, and it's not until you get older that you perhaps get better at working at putting a label on it. Once we put a label on it, I think we maybe feel better about it if we can. I mean, the ultimate idea is always to get rid of things. So if we can work out where that came from and how can we stop it happening again, that sort of thing, we do feel better. And it is hard when you're a child, isn't it? And you have lots of dramatic, monumentally huge emotions, but you don't have any idea of what they are or why you have them when you're a child. I suppose we kind of accept it then, but it can be quite bewildering when you're a child and you don't know why you just suddenly burst into tears just then. And when you're old like me, or middle-aged, or just grown up and at old age, that can still happen, and you can kind of still feel a bit, like what's going on. I was just driving somewhere today. We've had one of the other things that's been going on with my life is we've had a lot of, which has been lovely, after Dad's died, we've had a lot of kind of milestone birthdays and that sort of thing, and family getting together. So I've been seeing the family as a group, and that's been just so wonderful and great and all of that. And so, yeah, this particular weekend's been very busy in that respect. So, but I had to drive over there. Something I don't like very much doing in Melbourne is driving over the other side of town. And I live in the kind of northwestern sort of northwest west part, and if ever I have to go to the eastern suburbs, oh God. You know, when you're young, you kind of think nothing of these things, but when you're old like me, and you're a bit sort of stick in the mud about stuff, you kind of think, oh. And then you think, come on, you know, you can, it's nothing. You can drive there. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's under an hour to go, but oh dear, people, Melbourne drivers don't seem to be able to drive just at the, you know, it says 80. They can't seem to drive at 80, and you've got 3 lanes, and you've got 3 cars all next to each other, and not one of them can drive at the speed limit. So that sort of thing drives me up the wall, and by the time I get to anything I ever have to go to in the eastern suburbs, I'm always really grumpy by the time I get there, and take quite a long time to calm down and get into the mood of the party or whatever it is. But anyway, it was lovely. It was all lovely. So I'm back now. But as I was driving there, I kind of thought, you know how it is when there's, I don't know about where you live, but where I live is the capital city of roadworks. Roadworks Central, I think you could call it. So it doesn't matter what day or time, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning, say, or what road in the whole state of Victoria you choose to drive on, multiple times possibly, even along that route there'll be at least one lot of roadworks. In many cases, depending if you're going from one side of town to the other, several lots of roadworks. And so I thought, oh, at this stage I was kind of running a little bit late, and you know, I was tired. To be fair on myself, I was already quite tired, having had something on Friday, something on Saturday, and now today's Sunday. And as I said, I'm old, you know, and I'm thinking, what would happen if they just like cut off this next road? Because by now, you know, it wasn't exactly like a volcano, but whatever these emotions were coming up. And I asked myself the question, what is it that I would feel? And I thought, well, I'm getting cold. I wouldn't even call it frustration necessarily. I wouldn't even call it anger. Just might be strange, but I wouldn't call it any of those things. And I thought, well, what would I call it? And I thought, if something else happens, I'm just going to have to like pull over and sit on the side of the road and put my head in my hands like this. I probably have low tolerance anyway at the moment. And I thought, what would it be then if it's not really... I mean, it would be frustration, I suppose, to some degree. And we've learned not to be angry anymore, because wherever you go now, you just don't know whether you're going to get there on time. Like, you just don't know. You can't sort of guarantee whichever road you take now, that you'll get to your destination in time. That's just how it is where I live. And so I suppose we have a certain amount of, oh yeah, that's happened. That's what always happens. So we expect it. But I thought, what is it that's kind of what would I call that emotion? And I started to think that probably, if you read the Bible, it talks a lot about fear. And I think it does that because fear is at the basis of a lot of the emotions that we have. And so I would be afraid of being even more late to the party, perhaps missing out on some of the important parts of the party, that kind of thing, you know. So there's a sort of a fear that might be at the basis to my feelings. But we can have we don't have hurricanes in Australia. We can, up north they have cyclones. Look, somebody could probably correct me, but we basically have cyclones. But in America and places they have these, I don't know whether a tornado is stronger than a hurricane or vice versa. Let's just say you can have a kind of a hurricane, whichever is stronger, of emotions sometimes, thoughts and feelings, and kind of mind processes. And, I think for younger people in their teens, they often have trouble with their emotions because that's what they are. They're a hurricane of emotions. So it might help to think, well, at the sort of point of this, the root of this hurricane, what is it? What's the basic emotion that's the cause of it? Is it fear? Even depression, I learned, it took me many years to learn. When I was young, we didn't talk about anxiety, depression, nervous breakdowns. We heard about a little bit and it always sounded so terrifying. We heard about people getting maudlin. I think there was the word maudlin, but nobody taught us about anything. Whereas the young person today knows a lot more. They know the word stress. They know about hyperventilating, things like that. Things that we had no clue about when we were young. So I think that does help people today. But all the same, yes, there's a lot going on. And if you're a young person, you can have these times where you just don't really feel too good. And you might even feel like you're not that great physically, but remember that your emotions most definitely affect us physically. If you've ever lost somebody, you'll know that you can get almost, if not completely ill, like physically ill, when somebody dies and just feel like you're not even going to be able to go to the funeral, not going to be able to do anything, make decisions, anything. And some people really do get quite bad that way and can't function at all. So, yeah, but as I say, it took me a long time to work out that depression still comes down to fear. And you might think, what? Isn't it just sadness to the extreme? Well, it can be often a fear of losing somebody, a fear of the future, a fear of what would I do if. Can I cope with life? Can I do it? Can I just cope? Can I cope with what I'm going to have to go through right now? Can I cope with what I know I'm going to have to do in a couple of weeks' time? And those fears can really get to us. And then this kind of, mishmash, hurricane, things flying around, kind of comes along, and then you don't know where you are with your thoughts. The other thing too is, I don't know whether I've always had ADD. Now, when I was a child, there was no such thing. Nobody talked about it. The first time I ever learnt about it was when I was enrolling to go to Teachers College, and we had to sit down and listen to these mothers talk about the fact that their children had been diagnosed with this weird thing. And that was the first time I'd ever, and I was like 17 then, first time I'd ever heard of ADD or ADHD. And now children, little kids grow up knowing what it is. So did I have it when I was young? It's possible. I was a daydreamer at school, so I was probably fairly high performing and quite high intelligence, but I had a lot of difficulty paying attention. And quite frankly, I think I found a lot of the things that teachers were talking about completely of no relevance or interest in me. And I know a lot of kids do find that same thing. But yeah, so now that I'm old, I think I've either developed it in old age or I've always had it, that I have ADD. Because I know that if I have to sit down and say, listen, maybe sit down with some other old people like me, and we're having a talk, and somebody gets out the front and they're going to talk and teach us about such and such, and they start to talk, and I think, I can't be sitting here doing this. I'm like, I want to get up and go immediately. Like, they've only just started talking for a second and I'm already over it. I think, how did I do this when I was a child? How on earth did we do it? We sat there in class for hours and hours and hours while a teacher mostly talked. We did practical stuff as well, which probably saved our lives, but we did have to sit and listen to teachers a lot. Man, I don't think I could. I'd be that kid, like the kid wandering around the room and hanging off the rafters, I think. But I was told by a GP that as you get older, that you do get a bit ADD, and it's because the apparently there's tissue or membranes in the brain, whatever it is, that divide the different modes of the brain. So you've got thinking, planning for the future, listening, talking, whatever they are. And that's why in women, they can go back and forth and this way and this way and this way more easily, because the tissue between those modes is a bit thinner than in men. And I don't think that means that multitasking is necessarily a good thing, but I think God made women like that, because, they're cooking something and they've got to get the kid's hand out of the fire, and that one over there has just fallen off their bike and there's blood all that. They've got to be able to disengage from what they're doing, go and run and take care of whatever emergency is happening now. So I think that's probably the purpose to that. But apparently as you get older, the tissue between those parts of the brain gets even thinner. And so that's just all. She just gave me that explanation and off I went on my ADD way. But I do notice and I do wonder about whether other people are like me, or whether, I'm kind of in the minority, and obviously there are going to be other people like me. But I find now, and I've always been like this, that how they talk about autistic people. Some autistic people apparently can go into, say, a venue like a museum or an art gallery or whatever it might be, some sort of venue where there's lots of stimulation. And some of them do a lot of talking. So talk, and they don't take in very much. And then there are other people who don't do much talking, but they take in everything. So it's too much stimulation when they go to some of these places. Maybe a child's party when they're growing up and they see blue balloons over here and red ones here, and it's like, and I think I'm a little bit like that sometimes, where I feel like my brain has to somehow, if I'm seeing something on television or I'm seeing something on a YouTube video or whatever it is, and TV is very ADD now, I feel like I have to kind of process everything. So it's a kind of I've got to think about that and work that out. And now I'm trying to say to myself, Gemma, there's so much going on in the world. You can't be doing this. I can't go and stop blooming Vladimir Putin from blooming bombing poor Ukraine. I can't stop Trump from bombing Iran, or they're people bombing people around them, like people who are not doing anything to them, and all of that. I can't do anything about that. And so I don't need to be kind of absorbing, if it makes sense what I'm saying, trying to absorb all this information and make something of it and process it. And one of the things I used to do, I noticed particularly when I was maybe in my early 20s, and I probably did it before that, was if I was talking to you and you're, let's say, I don't know, a skier, I'd be thinking, oh, well, what I should be a skier. Yeah, or you'd talk to me and you were a mural painter. I'd think, why aren't I into? I've got to investigate that. I think that's me. I think I should be a mural painter. But I'd collect all these things, and I'm thinking, I can't be this, downhill skier plus mural painter plus horse rider plus president of a country plus I can't. You can't do all those things. What am I doing this for? And I used to say to people, I'm a bit like Flotsam and Jetsam on a river. They talk about little bits of paper and things that get on a river, and the waves kind of make them go over here, and then they go over here, and then they go shooting down a rough bit, and then they slow down, and they're just at the whim of the river. And I used to say, I'm just kind of like this. I don't know who I'm sort of what my thing is. I'm avoiding saying I don't know who I am, because it makes me cringe when I hear people say, I don't know who I am. Just look up your driver's license, your name's on there. Anyway, sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings there. But yeah, so what's my thinking like? What's my path? What's my skill, my calling, all of that? And I do still have this kind of overwhelmed feeling. Now I'm 71, as I've said before, and sorry if you're, 21 or 18 or something, and you feel like you're in this kind of hurricane of thoughts. Look, I think it does get better, but it's sort of still there, and it does help when you can articulate what it is that you're feeling. If you can maybe bring it back to just a basic thing, and yes, there's this added to it and this added to it, but if you can get to the crux of something and even find out what caused it, it does help you to maybe lessen those emotions a bit. And if you're like me and you're kind of taking in all these stimuli, it might pay sometimes to, on purpose, eliminate stimuli from your life for a bit. Just think, you know what, I'm going to go and sit by the river and stare at it. I love doing that. And I'm a person who gets bored easily, but I can stare because there's something happening. It is, or I'm going to, maybe there's a YouTube video that, that some people make those YouTube videos where they're slowly, I don't know, going down a river or something. Do something like that. And you don't have to know everything that's happening in the world. You don't have to watch every news program or read the paper from front all the way to the back. You don't. And I don't think it's good for us. So maybe, I'm not telling anybody what to do. My suggestion would be to insert into your life, particularly if you're a young person, some kind of time, once a week at least, maybe more often, maybe once a day if you can, where you just eliminate all the stimuli. You might even have to tell your family, I love you, but I need to go into my room for 20 minutes, half an hour. I'm going to come back and love you again, but I just need this time. and give yourself that space. And I think you'll find that it does really help you. It's quite a simple thing to do. And you know what you like, you know what works for you, you know what things relax you. Hope this helps. And may God bless you. Hope you're not lonely. Hope you're not depressed. Hope you're not in a hurricane of awful emotions at the moment. And I hope you're well. God bless you. Bye for now.